the main use cases you'd have, or we have in our workflows, are for taking webinars or screen recordings or any kind of demo and cutting it down and doing that very quickly. We've also seen folks that use this for a podcast workflow because it's script-based. It's going to start with a transcript of either a podcast or a video, and you start kind of editing with the text, which is fundamentally different from traditional video editing. And then also, you could use this if you have videos where you're showing how to do a skill or something on a job site or in the field. You could edit that video here. Another use case is just once it's edited in Descript, it's a powerful way to kind of distribute it to various platforms.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of why would you use Descript over kind of your current video editor if you are happy with that? Maybe you don't change, but text-based editing is kind of a shift in the way we work with video. So it's kind of a paradigm shift that hopefully I can communicate today. And some of the things that you get with text-based editing is this automatic finding of filler words, any kind of retakes or gaps. It's common that our instructors would be recording a PowerPoint or a slide-based presentation, and they flub a line, they retake, and restarting that is slow. And in this model, we say, just keep going. We can take all that out. Don't worry about it. Just pause and just, And another thing I'm going to demonstrate is just the some of the AI tools they've embedded for summarizing the video, getting a description of it, bullet points or highlights. It just also does that really well. And then this is just my super high-tech paper edit. So in the demo that I have, I kind of wrote down some timestamps of this video. So the use case I have now is a 40-minute video of an instructor did, and I want to make these videos shorter. So this is just my kind of funny way of getting started. So this is Descript, and that video that I loaded in lives over in this project panel. This is just kind of orienting you to kind of what are the files that I'm working with.
Okay.
And here's this 40-minute long video, and I brought in some title slides that I've created. So this is kind of maybe a standard way of starting up a project. Not very different from a typical video editor. We have a timeline down here.
Is it a desktop app or is it a web app as well?
This is a desktop app. You can do it in the browser, and everything is cloud-based. So the first step when you import is you see it getting uploaded to Descript.
I see.
And so it lives in the cloud. It's saving every 5 seconds. You never lose anything. But the one downside of being in the cloud is you have to have a pretty good internet connection to take advantage of this. And if you are working in big files, 4K, you can still do all of that, but it's kind of bound by your internet connection. So what's different about Descript is this script panel. And when I first started using this, I was trying to edit on the timeline because that's what I did before, and I was frustrated by it because it was the blade tools were kind of clunky and in and out points. My old tools were better at that. However, as I work with this more, I find that I'm just hiding the timeline because I'm going and I'm editing up here. And this scroll bar, it's probably hard to see on the screen share, but it's telling me where in the script there's 4 minutes, 5 minutes in, and you can kind of just skip with the cursor to different parts of this video. What I do, and I'm just going to go through my real world workflow here, because what I want to do is I want to cut up this video and make it shorter, and I want to remove the ahs and ums and spaces. So I could do that by going and clicking on this Underlord tab. This is where they kind of house all of their fun features. We're only going to cover this sounds good panel. There's a lot more that you can do if you have a piece to camera and you want the eye contact to follow. If you're reading a script over here, it'll pull your eyes onto the screen. If you have multiple podcasts, it can do automatic multicam, which is interesting. Those are more advanced features, but today is going to be just basic, make it shorter and a little bit faster to listen to. So the one thing I want to point out right now is this video unedited is 8 minutes and 5 seconds. And I'm just going to go up here and I'm going to say remove filler words. And it found 26 words and highlighted them. And these are filler words that are kind of common words that are that it just identifies. And so I'm just going to say remove all. And so it's already taken about 15 seconds off of the video by just taking out the filler words. And this is a slide-based presentation, so there's like now jump cuts. So if you're on camera, you might see little head snaps and things like that. For our kind of videos, that is totally fine. So it's not a concern. Remove the filler words. I don't know that this presenter had any retakes. He was pretty dialed in with his rehearsals, but it'll look and see if there's any repetitive words, and it looks like it didn't highlight any there, but you can apply.
It detects retakes by you repeating your script.
Yeah, exactly. And this one of the three things I just referenced, which is like remove filler words, remove retakes, shorten gaps, you do need to see what it did on the remove retakes, because it actually it depends on the style of that presenter, and it's not a problem, and taking it out causes a problem. So this one, I can see that this one that it highlighted here is fine, and I'm gonna undo that. I'm gonna say no, I want that. So remove retakes, maybe that one wasn't as relevant, but this shorten word gaps is great. It found 70 instances where there was a more than 3/4 second gap, and I set a threshold to cut it down to 5 seconds or half a second. And so we're at 7 minutes 44 seconds, and we got it down to 6 minutes 31 seconds. So that went from 8 minutes down to 6.5 minutes, and I did 2 clicks. And that is, at this point, I could start listening to it and seeing where it may have made any mistakes. So the other thing that I know for this video is that I'm updating this. This is a reference to a time base. It's week 3, week 4. We don't want that. We just want it to be the topic. And so I know that in my projects folder, I have a simple I have a image that I want to use. So I just drag that here, and I can kind of listen to how he starts.
No, you're hearing audio because I'm not hearing any audio.
Okay, you're not. Okay, yeah. I am hearing audio. He just said, hey, everybody, we're going to look at the residential grid-connected market. And I'm basically watching this. So when he changes the slide to right there, I'm just going to drag it to there, do a simple fade in. And at this point, I would export.
Okay.
But that's all I needed to do on this one. I'm not showing some of the features. Before I do export, one of the things that Descript does really well, and you might see this on LinkedIn or other platforms where videos now just automatically have captions showing up. And I knew how I do that with old video editing. I was like, that's very labor intensive. But
yeah,
if you look at what they do on this, all I do is find a style that I like, and I just click on it, and it adds that onto the whole. Like, so now it's going to have. So that, I wouldn't do that for an 8-minute video. That doesn't make sense. But in social media, when you're looping a short video and people are going to be seeing that on mute, you just let them follow along and see what you're talking about with this feature. So I feel like when you're taking a larger clip and you're trying to get it into a different platforms, that's a really helpful feature.
Is there an option to not have it highlight each word? Like, I love the captions, but I don't want it to do the sing-along type style of text.
Yeah, so they have they've got, I think, 20 different styles, and some of them are really basic, and others have like waveform, bouncy, karaoke style, and you can kind of dial in which one is fits with your aesthetic.
Cool.
In Underlord, so I just showed off, filler words, remove retakes. That's 90% of how I use Descript. Once it's edited and I'm ready to publish it, I now have this 6.5-minute video that needs a summary. And so I gave it this little prompt that says, I want 2 to 3 sentences, start with this video covers. And it's going to look at the script and it's going to summarize this, and it's going to have like a little paragraph that I can then copy and paste into our video platform. Doing this live is kind of interesting, but yeah, okay, there we go. Wasn't too long, and I've found these to be pretty accurate. Like I'll review this, and if there's something out this not quite right, I'll rework it. But that just gives me out the gate something that's really helpful,
Very
and I
cool.
just copy and paste that in. That's summarize. And there are a couple things like that over here in the Underlord tab that do that. So they have, you could ask it to create some short clips of this, create a highlight reel. You could have it find something that was like a poll quote or that, and that takes a little bit of mix and match and see if it's actually finding something helpful. But these ones down here for showing the show notes for a longer form, if you want someone to be able to scan timestamps and like look for like what you're talking about, that can be great for a webinar. If you know it, this is where like a YouTube description and a summary. This is where I kind of like ask like how different are those, but maybe they're slightly different. And then for us, we have a magazine that we publish renewable energy things too. So a longer form blog post, it's just gonna be more words.
Cool.
So yeah, so those are all the things you can do there. I did want to kind of finish up with just showing the publishing, because it's for me, this was a learning edge for me. I didn't understand what publishing meant. This video is now in the cloud, and you can publish it so that it's public, or anyone with the link can see it, or you kind of you lock it down with a password or kind of invite only. Okay. This one, for our purposes, is enough security where we're going to publish it, and it goes through, and it can publish this probably in less than a minute. Yeah, so it's that step is quick. From there, we want to take that video and upload it to our platform, and so we download that video, and it does some rendering. I think in the cloud or locally, I'm not quite sure where this rendering is happening, but this tends to happen fairly quickly. The one interesting thing,
that's really fast for an 8-minute video.
Yeah. What I started when I first started using Descript, I was again using my old video editing knowledge, and I said I want to export this, and that actually is local, and it was very slow. And what I realized is that they are optimized to do all of this video processing in the cloud, and they can do that very quickly. And so that whole thing just happened. It just downloaded that 6-minute video, and it's on my computer.
So what you chose the link? You chose to download the link instead of export.
Exactly, because when I did export, if I did this now, this 6.5-minute video, I would probably take 20 minutes to export, and wow. It was too slow for my workflow. The one thing I did do, and this is getting into the more advanced category, but it could be relevant, is you use Descript for all of the quick editing features, but you actually do want to send it to Premiere or Final Cut. What you can do is you can say export the XML.
Oh, cool.
And I've used that workflow. So it just exports the folder with the media, it's a self-contained project. And then when I bring that into Final Cut, then I have all the controls that I'm used to for quality and everything else. And it can export pretty quickly there.
And it has like DaVinci Resolve too?
Yes, it has DaVinci and Pro Tools and Premiere. So yeah, they know their audience is going to want to have more control in their own video editor with their own settings. And I use that because actually I can get higher quality exports out of Final Cut if I really wanted to tweak the bit rate and have them pay attention to what codecs they're using.
Yeah.
But for a lot of our online learning that's a slide deck, this is great. And because we're often working with a high volume of course, like this course that we're recutting is 30 hours of video, and so we're trying to just go boom, 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 boom. But yeah, this was Descript in 10 minutes. Have you used this at all?
I've not until you showed it to me.
It's an interesting. It's kind of a laggy interface. It's not snappy like a local. Because you're doing everything through the cloud, so I had to get used to that. But once you kind of get used to that, some of these quick editing features, it changes the way you approach video editing and how you get things out quickly. And they are, when you reload Descript, there's often a new update waiting. So they are pushing updates on bi-week, 2-week sprints.
You're iterating
And,
fast. Okay.
and so they're fixing bugs. They have like a good feedback mechanism to like understand how you're using it. I used one of its tools for cutting out words, and I got rid of it. I was like, no, I'd undo this. And it asked me, why did you undo that? And it asked me some really relevant questions. And I filled out the survey right inside the tool.
Nice.
And I would never do that usually, because it's like, but it was like asking me the right questions. So anyway, I think they're doing a lot of good things here. And they actually have, for the pro user, this is subscription based. I think you are allotted 10 or 30 hours of video or transcription a month.
Okay.
That's kind of how you pay for the service.
Yeah, I was going to ask what plan that you chose.
Yeah, I am on the pro plan, which is 30 hours a week. I don't know where in the interface I get to that, but that gives me access to their Squadcast platform that they acquired, which is if you were going to be recording a multicam, multi-person panel, you can do that with high quality video all inside Descript, and then it just brings all of that in to this interface for editing afterwards. So it's kind of
okay.
Yeah,
this is a really good podcasting tool.
Yeah, I think that's kind of we're trying to figure out how we can use that more, because it's a great workflow to just skip Zoom, whatever platform you're recording on, and then bringing it in. You can just do it all here, and you have that higher quality. Do you have any other questions about this? Did anything jump out at you as interesting?
No, I mean, it's all very interesting. I like that remove silence workflow. I remember doing that a lot in Premiere, and it basically takes you as long as the video is. So if you're doing that in a 15 or 20-minute video, you're spending at least 15 minutes just doing that before you ever get to any real creativity.
Yeah, and I didn't even showcase, like, I think a really powerful, like where I saw a demo or a professional video editor in LA was talking about Descript, and they're crafting a story. They have all these interviews that they've done, and they're reading the transcript, and they're starting to just copy and paste paragraphs, and now they're cutting together the
video,
the story, and then the B-roll is everything. Just, I think, happens a lot faster, and we don't do a lot of that narrative-based editing or storytelling for the video, but I could see that being another really powerful way of just editing the script, and you're not even really on the timeline that much. So that's cool.